Hello everybody, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we're returning to Strategic Command World War II, World at War. It is July of 1945, and the American forces have landed in Japan. We successfully landed at Nagasaki last turn, destroyed a Japanese army in that city, and then took the city itself. We managed to get a American paratrooper unit, the 101st Airborne, the 1st Marine Division, both ashore, as well as the 2nd Ranger Special Forces unit. Additionally, we landed the 3rd U.S. Army up the coast of Japan, threatening the rear of Hiroshima, the next city in line, and also threatening to get the American unit in some deep crap, because it's only going to have 3 supply next turn. That being said, the 3rd Army is really a diversionary force to try and pull Japanese forces in to counterattack it, leaving us to consolidate our beachhead in and around Nagasaki. I have moved my other units that have not landed yet, the 3rd Marine Tanks, the 2nd Marine Special Forces, the 2nd U.S. Tanks, and the 3rd Marine Division on the west coast of Japan, with the hope of flanking the Japanese end around. If they bring their troops in to destroy the 3rd U.S. Army, the hope is they leave at least 1 hex in the rear of Hiroshima unoccupied, so I can swing my troops in around and land in their rear, then allowing us to take Hiroshima and continue moving up the chain of the Japanese home islands. That is not necessarily assured. They likely will flood both the hex in front of and behind Hiroshima with Japanese troops, and they may even operate Japanese air units out of China and bring them into Japan. It remains to be seen how the Japanese AI will respond to this. I've been told that an invasion up the coast of Japan is basically kind of worthless because the Japanese flood so many troops in here that you have no ability to continue advancing. I've factored that into my calculations and plan to, if that event occurs, potentially divert some American troops north toward the northern island and maybe take some territories up there, robbing Japan of an industrial city at Hokkaido, or landing at Niigata and threatening Tokyo from the north. Even with just 1 unit or something like that, it may draw further Japanese troops north and give us an opportunity in the south. We'll see. We only have 1 American headquarters unit, MacArthur's headquarters, so that may pose a problem if we try and land another beachhead in northern Japan, but we'll see what happens. Japan still has 13 air units, but they, I believe, are all in China. We'll see if they pull them back to the home islands or not. We've already taken Taiwan. We've also landed a small Australian force in southern China and taken Hokkaido and Pakoi, which is potentially threatening the Japanese supply situation in Kunming if I can get some troops further north into Nanning and maybe along Guilin. It will force them to bring all their supplies from Chongqing, which could be a problem for them. Might not be, I'm not sure. Meanwhile, they are continuing their drive west into Burma. They nearly destroyed the Asiam Corps of the Indian units there last turn. They did destroy another British unit here in Burma last turn. Bad weather prevented our air unit from providing any air cover or from allowing the 44th Indian Paratrooper unit to paratroop into western China. But we're holding the line here for now anyway. Japanese air units are overwhelming in China, but again, the invasion in the home islands may cause them to pull some of their units back. If they do pull their units back, that could pose a major problem for our naval forces, which could be exposed to Japanese counterattack from the air. The one positive is we do have a lot of carrier power around here that can provide a blanket of air cover over our shipping, but it remains to be seen how effective that'll be. With that being said, I don't want to go over everything you guys saw in the last episode. Russia's in trouble. Perm is our last capital there, and Germany probably will be on the border of Perm, if not this turn, then the next one. So we're in some serious trouble there. We did destroy a German army to the east of Sverdlovsk last turn, but we have no chance against German armor, so we'll see. If the weather is good for them, they could easily destroy the unit in front of Perm and maybe even attack Perm this turn. Germany now has level 5 fighters, which is going to make things difficult. The last thing I'll say is we have detected strong German naval forces in the channel, and I would not be surprised if I lose 2 destroyers and a battleship in the channel next turn. We did destroy a German battlecruiser last turn, but they're going to attrition our Navy down pretty strongly, I think, and that's going to be a serious problem for us. With that being said, let's go ahead and end the turn and see what the end of July and then our own turn in August 1945 has in store for us. Communist partisan activity in China. I'm surprised we didn't get like a notice saying like, Japanese morale falls with the loss of Nagasaki or something to that effect. Scientists report progress in industrial technology for the U.S., up to 67%. I just heard what sounds like winter noises. I'm not sure where. Meanwhile, UK and US or minor allies collect 548 MPPs. A big chunk of their income is actually going to the USSR right now, and the US collects 796. The USSR gets 597. That's despite losing some of that to the well, I guess actually that's all of it's coming through. So let's see here what the next turn has in store for us. We'll see what the Japanese... I'm really curious to see what the Japanese counterattack in Japan looks like. They're for sure going to do counterattack. It's just a question of whether it's overwhelming or not. All right, so they're going to attack the Canadian destroyer there near Southampton. They're going to drive it back. Another German destroyer will come up, try and finish it off. It doesn't, but their cruiser comes up and finishes it off. So we do lose that one destroyer. Meanwhile, they'll probably destroy this American destroyer, which just retreated by coastal defense guns. They pulled out some jets that were in southern Italy and replaced them with infantry. That makes a whole lot of sense. Don't want your jets exposed to ground attack. That would have allowed us to potentially easily destroy a German air unit, which are very expensive. They're going to reinforce their ground units. They're going to bring in armored units in southern Italy, which is not good for us. They've got level 4 tanks, though, there, not level 5, which is good. We have a level 5 armored unit, but it's under strength. I'm surprised they didn't attack our battleship when they drove that Canadian destroyer off. Meanwhile, they're going to attack some British transports with air units out of China. We didn't have any air cover over these guys, so unfortunately these guys are getting bombed. The one positive is it means the Japanese aren't bombing our positions in Burma, but we did lose a land unit there, or that was at sea against Japanese tactical bombers. German air units continue pounding our troops in Russia mercilessly. Even some Me-262s there destroyed or finished off a Russian air unit near Archangel, I believe it was. They've got rockets in France, German armored units moving across the face of the Gibraltar defenses. They destroyed a Peruvian garrison unit, which we brought in there to be kind of admittedly sacrificial lambs there just to protect our defenses in Gibraltar for another turn. Meanwhile, they did bring units both in front of and behind Hiroshima along the rail line there. You could see that Japanese corps there in front of Hiroshima attacking our lead paratrooper unit. Meanwhile, the Germans are trying... We did cut off 2 German units near Orsk, sort of an Orsk pocket, if you will. German armored units are attacking near Sverdlovsk. They just destroyed an infantry unit there. They destroyed our shock army to the west of Perm. All right, some more mechanized movements here. Some German armored units here near Kirov. They're threatening to cut off an army we have there. They move their troops in Orsk east, but they're still cut off. They haven't actually liberated the pocket. Now, they'll liberate it next turn for sure. I've got no way to solidify that pocket, but at least for the moment anyway, those guys look like they might be cut off. Meanwhile, they moved some Stukas there into Bari, which is interesting. That's going to be directly opposite of my infantry there in southern Italy. My poor attempt at forming another second front when we got ejected out of Spain. German armor continuing to move into the southern portions of Iran, likely going to start driving against the British oil there in southern Iran, which is going to bolster their already absurdly strong economy. Allied raiders disrupting Japanese convoys there. Okay, so the counterattack in Japan wasn't too devastating. They did drive the Third Army back, but they didn't destroy it. They did a little bit of damage to the 101st paratroopers. Quite a bit of damage done to the Russians there on the Russian front, although they're still not adjacent to Perm yet. But you can see all the rail lines in front of Hiroshima now occupied with Japanese troops and in the rear of Hiroshima, so I'm not going to be able to do another paradrop into their rear. I might be able to land those troops in their rear, though. We'll have to see. You know, we get a ton of intelligence now because we've got that intelligence research bumped. Ooh, the Manhattan Project. Our scientists have developed a weapon of mass destructive power called an atomic bomb. We will soon have some ready to be dropped in cities in Japan at a cost of 600 MPPs at 150 a turn for 4 turns. We believe that it will destroy any target it hits and will not only demoralize the enemy but make a major contribution to winning the war. Would you like to authorize the use of atomic bombs? Yeah. Atomic bomb shatters Japanese morale. Boom! Okay. So it basically destroyed the Japanese forces in Hiroshima. All right. So we're going to place the American armor there on the west coast to support the invasion. So let's see here. It destroyed the Japanese army in Hiroshima. It probably also destroyed Hiroshima, naturally. Japanese morale on some of these units is still reasonably strong, actually. It only damaged the unit in Hiroshima. It might have damaged the unit in Nagasaki if we had waited. So if I had waited till this turn to land in Japan, that might have been a better strategy, because we probably would have taken Hiroshima and Nagasaki, because they would have been so weakened. I kind of wish they had dropped another bomb on, another city somewhere else. But strange that they didn't. All right, let's do this. Let's move the 3rd Marine tanks forward here. We're going to try and land them east of Hiroshima. Then we're going to bring the 2nd tanks forward here. Can we destroy these guys just south of Hiroshima? Pull these guys back. So move these guys here. 4-0. Nice. Okay. These guys already struck. These guys already struck. These guys did not. Can we attack here and get 2? So what do I have left that can land? Do some damage? Is it... Alright, all of my landing forces except for the 2nd Marines have already attacked. So we'll go ahead and have the 2nd Marines attack Hiroshima. They finish off the troops there. We'll land the 2nd tanks in Hiroshima. They'll take a few landing casualties, but then they can also go ahead and attack the Japanese too. Or we can actually have our paratroopers attack. We'll do that. So our paratroopers attack and shatter the Japanese division south of Hiroshima. All right, what's the supply situation in Hiroshima going to look like next turn? Not good, not terrible. All right, we'll pull these guys back. I wonder if we're going to move... All right, we'll reinforce these guys to full strength. We'll reinforce these guys to full strength. We'll drop the first... What do I want to do with these guys? If I drop the Marine tanks here, they could attack, but they're also going to be exposed to Japanese anti-tank guns. Oh, I just did something really dumb and I didn't even think about it. The supply situation of those units is going to not be so good. They're going to have 2 and 1 supplies. Great. All right, first mechanized. So I'm assuming we can shift this 2nd armor east of Hiroshima next turn. And actually, can we prepare these guys? So I'm going to prepare this airborne unit, hoping that I can land in their rear again next turn. Do we know if they have anything in these other cities? I assume they do. They don't have anything up here? Up here? We're going to land the 3rd Marine Division up north to threaten northern Japan, taking this industrial center. There's no port there, unfortunately. Shit. They'll have 3 supply. I wonder if Sapporo is empty. I'm guessing it's not. And Mori is not either. Okay. What's their morale, by the way, after the loss of, or after the atomic bombings? National morale, Japan. Wow, it took a precipitous plunge. It's below 20%. Hopefully the loss of Hiroshima will also hurt their national morale. All right, so these guys are going to have decent supply next turn. 6 isn't good, but it's not disastrous. The 2 and 1 is going to be rough. It's a little bit foolish of me to... But I don't want to put the first mechanized ashore here yet. I'm going to see if I can't find another open target, maybe Kushiro, and sort of take the northern home islands. Is Hong Kong empty? It is. Well, we'll do that then. We'll go ahead and take Hong Kong with the 2nd Australian Corps. Move in and take Amoy. So we're landing Commonwealth troops along the coast of China. I wonder if Nanning is open. It is. We'll drive north and take Nanning. We're going to get this Australian headquarters unit in as well, because it's going to be absolutely vital to our supply situation. So move these guys. Oh, shit. Well, looks like they can't land yet, so they're going to be subject to air attack and probably die, which is just great. Can they really not go ashore? Because we just took the port this turn, probably? Yeah, we can do that. They're going to have level 5 supply. Interesting. Nanning must be a supply center for them. So we used Haiphong, which is a neutral port, but apparently not so neutral. Shit. Those guys are dead. Alright, these are Australian too, so let's see if we can't get these guys into Haiphong also. Haha! The Australians are invading China from the south! Alright, so Japanese fighters are here. I really hope they don't bomb these troops. They're in port, so in theory maybe that helps. I can upgrade the port's anti-aircraft defenses so they're not totally vulnerable. We're going to throw these guys on transports. Maybe we can shift them north and go after other Japanese troops here in China. But again, a southern invasion. These guys may all get wiped out, but it's at least going to be a distraction for the Japanese. I really want to land these paratroopers, but I'm pretty sure they're going to get shot up by Japanese aircraft. Oh, I was flying them within my own territory, and they still got shot up. God damn it! I figured these fighters would have given them air cover, but I guess they're currently grounded due to bad weather. Blah. I don't think this British headquarters unit will do anything, but I'm going to land them anyway. Montgomery's now in China. It claims they'll have 7 supply, but I don't know if they actually get supplied from Monty or not. My understanding of the way the headquarters units is they don't work for allied units that are of a different country, but we'll see. Okay. You may have asked why I didn't use my air units trying to soften up the Japanese. I think the answer is fundamentally they don't really do a lot. They might be decent for recon, though. As you can see here. Oh, boy. Look at... Holy shit, there's anti-aircraft guns there. I didn't really want to bomb Tokyo, but look at all of this. Jesus Christ, that's a lot of troops. All right, let's move some of these air units. Let's move this carrier, this Essex, south here a little bit. So in theory, it'll provide some cover for our troops here. Japanese air fighters there are only 3. Level 3, that is. Can these bombers do anything? Probably not. They could damage that port. They'll take a little bit of... Alright, so they can hurt the Japanese economy here. We can go after Osaka in their rear. It is a supply center. Can try and hit these guys where it hurts. Maybe go after their morale a little bit. You can see their morale is plummeting as I bombard them. Also go after the morale of the headquarters units back here. The headquarters units don't seem to have morale, actually, now that I click on them. In the same way that the infantry does. That's interesting. I wonder why. In any event, we're going to use our carriers over here to hopefully provide some air cover for our troops down here. Granted, the carriers then become a target, which I probably should have thought about before I swung them all south. All right, where is that? Did I destroy that? No, I didn't. All right, so we're going to use an escort carrier here against that sub. Got it. All right, we finished off that sub. Let's see, what's in Shanghai? Anything? I'm sure Shanghai has to have a garrison. It's got too many, it has, like, morale points or something. Meanwhile, losing Hiroshima actually cuts off all the Japanese supplies that come in from the Dutch East Indies and from China. So, at least in terms of income, their supply routes are completely cut off now. Set cap mode, do... Oh, it's set to auto. Oh, no. Fighter, combat air patrol. Good. So now we'll fly these guys south. So I'm trying to put up a big fighter wing over both my ships in the south and also our troops over here to the west. I mean, at this point, it might make sense to pull my naval units back, seeing as it doesn't seem like my bombardments do jack diddly. It does help with the readiness, reducing enemy readiness and morale, but only slightly. And I'm just going to wear my air units out if I try and bombard. I might be able to work my way up the Japanese coast very slowly by crushing their morale. Maybe. All right, we're going to throw these Marines on long-range transports. Got one more Marine unit we can send forward. It'll have a strike as well, so if they aren't able to reinforce their troops in the front, then I can use it to attack the enemy units before we land. Maybe we should throw these Rangers on transports again, because that seems to be one of our most effective attacks, is when you're doing landings. You get like a 3 or a 4 destruction of the enemy. That's a lot of fucking Japanese troops in the home islands. All right, so we've been going for like 20 minutes, and we haven't touched anything outside of Asia. That's the Asian front this turn, by the way, with the Japanese and Chinese fronts. All right, I'll do that. With that army unit there. Nearly destroy a artillery up. Long-range amphibious. If they don't bomb me, I'll try and attack them from the sea with this first army. Bombard Cadiz with our British battleships there. Should really move these battleships back to the home islands. Okay, so we'll bring more U.S. units into Great Britain. Meanwhile, can we do anything against these? Alright, we can reinforce these guys. No, we can't. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to bring these guys up to Belfast, I think, to get them out. Then we'll bring this cruiser back here. Let's go back there. Okay. Alright, these German ships in the channel are protected by bad weather. But our carriers there have been repaired. Should we can we upgrade these guys? No, we don't have weapons level 2. Alright, we'll move these American armored units into England. We have 2 American headquarters units in England, and the invasion isn't even going on down here. Alright, reinforce these British ships. What can these guys upgrade to? ASW? I guess with the Germans as strong as they are with subs, that's not a bad idea. These guys to Glasgow. The 12th U.S. Army into England as well. Reinforce this carrier air wing. Pull this carrier air wing back to reinforce at Rosyth. Reinforce these heavy cruisers. Pull these destroyers back out of danger. And okay, so we only lost the, was it the 1 Canadian cruiser or was it the 2? In any event, we only lost the only 1 ship. They did, Germany has replaced one of their 2 losses already. So they've gone from 23 back to 24. They were at 25. Reinforce our fighters in England. Reinforce our tactical air, which was heavily damaged in its attempt to interdict German shipping in the channel. Okay. Move my replenished carriers further south toward the mouth of the channel so that we can make another dash out without too much risk. Can these guys move that way? Alright, they'll move around the north, so they'll move around... Alright, so we move these guys into Liverpool to repair next turn. So all of my carriers should be able to repair next turn. Almost all my surface vessels should be able to repair back to full strength next turn as well. We have... Well, we already moved that army unit in. We have the 11th U.S. Army in... Alright, so we're going to move these guys through the Straits of Gibraltar. They'll be ready to reinforce Italy next turn. Okay. Alright, these fighters, can we upgrade them first, I guess, and then we'll operate them into England next turn? Alright, I'm going to leave the First Corps to hopefully... They've got level 4 entrenchments. Their readiness and morale is low, but level 4 entrenchments in the Strait of Gibraltar, so hopefully they can hold out against the Germans there for a couple turns before maybe we throw them on transports and pull them back. Okay, so that's England for now. And these guys didn't lose any attrition, did they? Oh my god, 0 to 6, really? So, reinforce these troops. Do we have any new units to deploy? We do have an army. Move this artillery back here. Hopefully they'll fire in defense of these troops. We can't do anything. We can't even scratch the paint on the German armor there in Russia. We can hurt that armor because it's completely out of supply by the looks of it. Shit. Contact with an enemy headquarters. They better not do any damage. They don't. Okay, well. Maybe these units here will draw this German force at north at Cheblensk south, away from Sverdlovsk, because their own supply situation is very tenuous. Meanwhile, the Soviets have 600 points, so we'll go ahead and buy some new units. We lost a corps last turn, so we'll buy one of those. I think we lost an army. We didn't. Did we lose a shock army? Alright, so buy 2 more shock armies. Also buy a new paratrooper unit. So we purchased a whole bunch of units here that aren't going to be ready for a while, but 2 more shock armies, a corps of infantry, paratroopers, special forces, and another shock army. So 3 shock armies are on the way, a corps of infantry, special forces, and paratroopers. Might be the last units we get out of Russia. I don't know. We'll see. What's Russia's morale anyway? They've got to be close to breaking. If we go to Russia's national morale, it's 27%. Not very good. I would have thought America would have gotten like a boost for using the atomic bomb or something. Germany's national morale, meanwhile, keeps going up. Their economy keeps going up. Jesus Christ, it's over 1,300 right now per turn. They did lose a few units last turn, which is nice. They lost just shy of 700 MPPs. So by destroying some of those naval units, we offset their income slightly. Okay. I mean, the Soviet Union's not going to hold out much longer. The troops they have are completely ineffective. It's all about just holding the line as long as possible. I guess the game doesn't end until 47. I thought it was 46 at one point, but I guess now it's actually 47. A new Indian Special Forces unit, so we'll deploy it here. We have 181 points left for China, so can we buy a headquarter unit with that? No, we need 205, so we've got to wait another turn to purchase a headquarter unit there for them. Meanwhile, for the Americans, we've got 600 points. I'm going to try and get some tactical bombers here. I don't have any. We'll buy 1 unit. I mean, they're going to be useful in... You know what? Let's buy 2. We can't afford to upgrade it all the way, but we can at least get it produced. Because it does take, what? Is it really 7 turns? So we need to get some of these units in action. The tactical bombers could be very useful if the campaign in Asia is still going on. where we might be able to get air superiority. Less so in Europe. Although with all those carriers, we might be able to provide some escorts for them. Meanwhile, the British have 327 left. Do we need to do some research with the British? Their fighters are already working on the last one. They've already got level 5 tanks. Combat and control. I think this is how effective headquarters units are, so we should probably actually research that. The UK should live long enough to be able to benefit from that. Level 5 amphibious warfare is already being researched. Spying and intelligence is already maxed. Logistics, we should spend more there. So we just spent all our British money on stuff. Production technology we really should have invested in a long time ago. Their economy's not what it should be. Industrial technology is already working on the last level there, last tier. ASW warfare. Somehow as the British, we didn't spend a dime on ASW warfare. Yeah. Okay. I think once Germany turns their air force against Britain, they're going to turn it to dust. But is our anti-aircraft is okay as the British, I think. So it might make them slightly... Oh, no, it's only level 1, although we're researching level 2. Might prevent them from turning us quite into so much powdery dust. All right, is that everything for this turn? I think it is. We've started the Commonwealth invasion of southern China. We've taken Hong Kong, which hopefully it'll increase Allied morale. Should have a national morale value or something. Maybe it'll help Chinese morale. I don't know. In any event, we'll see. It doesn't say it's a national morale objective like Wuhan, Nanjing, Shanghai, but all of those national morale centers, with the exception of maybe Wuhan, are all starting off as Japanese cities. So I don't... Maybe it doesn't relabel a city you lose as a national morale objective. I'm not sure. But we'll see how things play out next turn. Yeah. We're invading Japan. Japan has a lot of troops, though. It's going to be a slog. If we have any chance of success. It's going to take a while. We may have gotten an armored unit and an infantry unit destroyed by landing them somewhat isolated behind lines. But the hope is that it causes these guys to not be able to reinforce and gives us a chance to progress a few hexes. The real bottleneck is going to be here, west of Osaka, where there's only one hex we can advance through. Even if we get all the way up here along this rail line, there's just nowhere to move, and it's going to be 1 on 3 or 1 on 2 enemy units. So that's where we may, you know, mount troops back up in Nagasaki and swing them north. I'm also hopeful that maybe this pulls some of their effort north to go after the Marines who landed here. If it doesn't, I'm going to occupy this entire northern island and see where we can go from there. That's my thought anyway. In any event, we'll see what happens next time. Until next time, guys, this is the Historical Gamer saying once again, thank you very much for watching. And until next time, I'm out.